She mocked husband for not affording Paris when she returned. His revenge shattered her asterisk. The champagne flute trembles in Elena's manicured fingers as she stares at the divorce papers scattered across the marble kitchen island. 3 months. She's been gone 3 months, and this is what greets her return. You can't be serious. Her voice cracks, designer heels clicking against Italian tile as she paces. The penthouse, their penthouse, feels different, colder. The familiar scent of David's cologne has been replaced by something else, something expensive, something that doesn't belong to the man she married. David doesn't look up from his laptop. The soft blue glow illuminates features she remembers being softer, more yielding. Now his jaw carries a hardness that makes her stomach flutter with something she can't name. Dead serious, Elena. This is about Marcus, isn't it? She sets down the glass with more force than necessary. About Paris. Now he looks up. Those dark eyes that used to hold such devotion now study her with clinical detachment. This is about you telling me I was pathetic for not being able to afford your little European fantasies. This is about you laughing, actually laughing, when I suggested we take a weekend trip to the mountains instead. The memory hits like ice water. She remembers the laughter, remembers how his shoulders had sagged when she'd called him adorably domestic before walking out to meet Marcus at the airport. Remembers not looking back. David, you what? Didn't mean it. He closes the laptop with a soft click that sounds deafening in the silence. When he stands, she notices how his shoulders fill out his shirt now, broader, more confident. You meant every word, Elena, and that's okay. It clarified things for me. She takes a step closer, catching that unfamiliar cologne again underneath it. She can still smell him, the David she knows, the David she married, the David she, who is she? The words escape before she can stop them. His mouth curves into something that might have been a smile once. Someone who appreciates homemade dinner more than Michelin stars. Someone who finds mountain cabins romantic instead of beneath her. Elena's breath catches. She studies the man before her, really looks at him. The expensive watch, the tailored shirt, the way he carries himself like he owns the world, which, apparently, he does now. The company sold. He reads her expression easily. Turned out my pathetic little startup was worth quite a bit to the right buyers. Who knew? The floor seems to tilt beneath her feet. How much? Enough. He moves past her toward the door, and she catches his scent again, cedar and something dark, something that makes her pulse quicken. Enough to buy her any trip she wants. Enough to never have to hear someone I love tell me I'm not good enough. David, wait. She reaches for his arm, fingertips barely brushing the fabric of his shirt before he stops. The contact sends electricity up her spine. I made a mistake. He turns slowly, and for a moment, just a moment, she sees something flicker in his eyes. Something that looks like the man who used to bring her coffee in bed, who used to trace lazy patterns on her skin while she drowsed in morning sunlight. Yes, he says quietly, you did. The front door closes with a whisper, leaving Elena alone with the champagne, the papers, and the devastating realization that the man she'd dismissed as ordinary had been extraordinary all along. Her phone buzzes. A text from Marcus, back from Provence. Dinner at Le Bernardin. She deletes it without responding, her fingers already searching for David's number. But as she stares at his contact photo, that shy smile she'd grown tired of, she wonders if she's already too late. Outside, car doors slam. Soft laughter drifts up from the street. A woman's voice, warm and genuine, says something that makes David's deep chuckle rumble through the night air. Elena's heart stops. She moves to the window, pressing her palms against the cool glass, but the black sedan is already pulling away. All she catches is a glimpse of dark hair against David's shoulder, a flash of contentment she hasn't seen on his face in years. The papers on the counter seem to mock her with their crisp efficiency, but it's the small velvet box beside them that makes her knees weak, the box that once held her engagement ring, now sitting empty and accusatory in the lamplight. Elena's hands shake as she dials his number for the 4th time, straight to voicemail, again. David, please, we need to talk. She paces the length of their bedroom, her bedroom now. She supposes, I know I hurt you. I know I was cruel. But this, divorce papers, really? She ends the call and immediately starts another. The silence on the other end feels like judgment. 2 days pass. The penthouse echoes with her designer heels and her growing desperation. She calls his office sold. His assistant's number disconnected. It's as if David Winters has simply evaporated from the city, taking his quiet strength and his devastating new confidence with him. On the third morning, she finds herself at their old coffee shop, the one where they'd had their first date, where he'd been so nervous he'd spilled espresso on his shirt, where she'd found his fumbling endearing instead of embarrassing. The barista, a young woman with kind eyes, recognizes her. "Elena, you just missed David." Her heart slams against her ribs. He was here every Tuesday and Thursday now. Always orders 2 lattes, one with extra foam. The girl's smile turns dreamy, and he always looks so happy. It's nice to see him like that after she'd systematically torn down his confidence with her complaints, her comparisons, her casual cruelty disguised as honesty. "Did you see who he was with?" Elena's voice sounds foreign to her own ears. "Oh, she's lovely. Always thanks me by name, leaves generous tips." They hold hands while they wait, not like they're showing off, but like they can't help touching each other. You know, Elena knows. She remembers being unable to keep her hands off David in the beginning, before familiarity bred contempt, before his gentleness started feeling like weakness. She orders a double espresso and sits in their old corner booth, running her fingers over initials carved into the scarred wood. DW+M. The heart around them seems to mock her now. Her phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. "Stop calling him. He's moved on. You should too." Afrindelina stares at the message. Fury and something else, something that feels dangerously like jealousy burning in her chest. She types back, "Who is this?" The response comes immediately. "Someone who loves him the way you should have." Before she can reply, another message appears. "He's different now, stronger, but also softer, more himself. You spent years trying to change him into someone he wasn't. I love who he is." Elena's hands tremble as she types. "I want to see him. He doesn't want to see you. He's building something beautiful, Elena. Don't tear it down again." The messages stop coming. Elena sits in the coffee shop until closing, watching couples come and go, remembering a time when she and David would sit here for hours, her feet tangled with his under the small table, planning their future in whispered dreams. That night, she drives past his old gym. Through the windows, she sees him on the rowing machine, muscles straining under a fitted tank top she doesn't recognize. He's transformed, not just successful, but physically powerful in a way that makes her mouth go dry. A woman appears beside him with a towel and a water bottle. Even from the parking lot, Elena can see her genuine smile. The way she touches his shoulder like she has every right to. The way he looks at her like she's the answer to a question he'd been asking his whole life. Elena's chest constricts. She recognizes that look. He used to look at her that way. Her phone rings. "Marcus, darling, you've been ignoring me. The Maldives are calling. I've booked us the overwater villa. I can't." She whispers, watching David laugh at something his companion says. "I need to fix something first." "Fix what?" "Surely nothing more important than." She hangs up and starts the engine. But as she drives away, she catches sight of them in her rearview mirror, walking out together, his arm around her waist like she belongs there. The thought that follows makes her pull over, gasping. She does belong there, more than I ever did. Elena finds out about the charity gala from a society page she never used to read. There's David in a perfectly tailored tuxedo, his arm around a stunning brunette in emerald silk. The caption reads, "Tech entrepreneur David Winters and philanthropist Sarah Chen at the Children's Hospital Benefit." Sarah Chen. Finally, a name to go with the face that's been haunting Elena's dreams. She spends an hour researching. Harvard MBA, nonprofit executive, volunteer work in 3 countries. The kind of woman who saves the world instead of spending fortunes shopping for salvation. The kind of woman Elena never tried to be. She arrives at the gala uninvited, wearing a dress that cost more than most people's cars. Black, severe, armor, disguised as couture. The ballroom glitters with Manhattan's elite. But Elena only has eyes for one man. David stands near the bar, and her breath catches. The transformation is complete. Confidence radiates from him like heat from a flame. When he laughs at something Sarah says, The sound sends shivers down Elena's spine. She's forgotten how beautiful his laugh is when it's genuine. Elena, she turns to find Marcus beside her, resplendent in Armani and confusion. What are you doing here? I thought you were dealing with some domestic crisis. I am, she murmurs, unable to look away from David and Sarah. They move together like dancers who've perfected their choreography. All subtle touches and shared glances. Well, whatever it is, it can wait. The Maldives won't book themselves, and I have meetings in London next week. We could extend. Do that shopping trip to Milan you've been wanting, Marcus. She turns to face him fully for the first time in months, really looks at him. Handsome, yes. Wealthy, certainly. But standing here, watching David with Sarah, she realizes something devastating. I don't want to go to the Maldives. His perfectly groomed eyebrows lift. The Seychelles, then? Or we could do Japan. I don't want to go anywhere with you. The words hang between them like a revelation. Marcus's face hardens. I see. And what's brought on this sudden change of heart? Before she can answer, the crowd shifts, and suddenly David is there, close enough to touch. His cologne wraps around her like a memory, and when their eyes meet, the ballroom fades away. Elena. Her name on his lips sounds different now. Careful. Guarded. David. She can barely breathe. You look incredible. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. You look exactly the same. The words hit like a slap. She knows he doesn't mean it as a compliment. Could we talk? Privately? David's gaze flickers to something over her shoulder, and Elena turns to see Sarah, approaching with 2 champagne flutes, up close. She's even more stunning natural beauty that doesn't need enhancement, the kind of effortless elegance Elena has spent years trying to purchase. David, they're about to announce the auction results. Sarah's voice is warm honey, her smile genuine until she notices Elena. Then something shifts, not hostility, but a quiet claiming that makes Elena's stomach clench. Sarah, David says, accepting his champagne. This is Elena, my ex-wife. Elena finishes, extending her hand. Soon to be, anyway. Sarah's handshake is firm, confident. I've heard so much about you. The words are polite, but Elena catches the subtext. Sarah knows everything, knows about Paris, about the cruel comparisons, about the laughter that broke something irreplaceable in David's chest. I was hoping, David, and I could have a moment, Elena says, to discuss logistics, of course. Sarah's fingers trail across David's wrist as she steps back. I'll be at our table when you're ready. Our table. The casual possessiveness in those 2 words makes Elena's chest burn. David watches Sarah go with something that looks dangerously like devotion. When he turns back to Elena, his expression is politely distant. What did you need to discuss us? The word escapes as a whisper. David, I made a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. His jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. Which mistake was that? Comparing me to Marcus in bed, laughing when I suggested we build something together, or walking out without looking back. Each word lands like a physical blow. All of it. David, you what? Love me? He steps closer, and she can see gold flecks in his dark eyes that she'd forgotten existed. Because if you do, Elena, you have a funny way of showing it. I do love you. The words tear from somewhere deep in her chest. I never stopped loving you. For just a moment, his mask slips. She sees the man she married vulnerable, hopeful, achingly tender. Then it snaps back into place. Love isn't enough, he says quietly. It never was for you. He starts to turn away, and desperation makes her bold. She catches his hand, and the contact sends electricity shooting up her arm. David, please, give me another chance. Let me prove. Prove what? His voice is soft but devastating. That you can pretend to be satisfied with who I am? That you won't start comparing me to other men the moment things get comfortable again? I've changed, no, Elena. I have. He gently extracts his hand from hers. I've learned what it feels like to be enough for someone, to be celebrated instead of tolerated, to be loved without conditions or comparisons. The words shatter something inside her chest. David, I hope you find what you're looking for, he says, but it isn't me. Not anymore. He walks away, leaving Elena standing alone in a crowd of strangers, finally understanding the magnitude of what she's lost. Elena doesn't remember driving to the mountain cabin. She only knows she's sitting in her car in the gravel driveway, staring at the rustic frame that David had wanted to buy for their anniversary, the same cabin she'd dismissed as quaint, with enough disdain to make him quietly close the laptop and never mention it again. The for sale sign now bears a bright red sold banner. She's about to leave when another car pulls up behind her, a sleek Tesla that whispers against the gravel. Her heart stops when David emerges from the driver's seat. Moving around to help Sarah out of the passenger side, Elna sinks lower in her seat, watching as they walk hand in hand toward the cabin. David pulls out keys to the place he'd dreamed of sharing with her, and Elna's chest constricts with something that feels like dying. They disappear inside, and minutes later, warm light glows from the windows. Elna sits in the growing darkness, watching shadows move across the curtains, imagining the life she could have had if she'd been brave enough to want simple things. Her phone buzzes. Marcus again. She deletes the call without looking. 20 minutes pass. An hour. Elna knows she should leave, but something keeps her frozen in place. Maybe it's masochism. Maybe it's hope. Maybe it's the terrible need to see David's happiness up close, even if it destroys her finally. She gets out of the car. The cabin's front door is unlocked. Small-town trust. Or maybe David's confidence that no one would be foolish enough to disturb his peace. Elna slips inside, her heels silent on the hardwood floors. The interior is everything David had shown her in those online photos. Exposed beams, stone fireplace, windows that frame the forest like living paintings. But it's been transformed with personal touches that make her throat tight. Books everywhere. Sarah's reading glasses on the coffee table. David's guitar in the corner, the guitar Elna had always found too sentimental. Voices drift from the kitchen, along with the scent of something homemade. Told her I loved the way she looked in firelight, David is saying, his voice soft with affection. And Sarah's laugh is musical, genuinely delighted. And she said I was being ridiculous, that the lighting was terrible for her complexion. Elna's stomach drops. She remembers that night, remembers dismissing his romantic gesture, because she'd been worried about appearing washed out in photos. Her loss, Sarah murmurs, and Elna hears the soft sound of a kiss. I happen to love the way you see beauty in everything. Not everything. David corrects gently. Just real things, honest things. Elna presses her back against the wall, tears burning her eyes. She should leave. She should run. Instead, she finds herself moving closer to the kitchen doorway. David stands behind Sarah at the stove, his arms wrapped around her waist as she stirs something that smells like childhood comfort. She's changed from her gala dress into jeans, and one of David's sweaters, the gray cashmere one Elna had bought him for Christmas, and never seen him wear. It looks perfect on Sarah. I've been thinking, Sarah says, leaning back against David's chest, about what you said at dinner, about starting over. What about it? I want to do it with you. All of it. The scary parts, the boring parts, the parts where we're too tired to be charming. She turns in his arms, and Elna's heart clenches at the tenderness in David's expression. I want to build something real with you, David. Not just the pretty moments, but the whole messy, beautiful thing. Elna watches David's face transform. It's the expression she remembers from their wedding day, wonder and gratitude and love so pure it hurts to witness. Sarah, he breathes, and then he's kissing her with the kind of desperate devotion Elna threw away without thinking. The spoon clatters to the floor. Forgotten. David lifts Sarah onto the counter, her legs wrapping around his waist as they lose themselves in each other. Elna sees the way Sarah's hands tangle in his hair, the way David trails kisses down her throat like he's worshiping at an altar. This is what she could have had. This is what she chose to mock, to diminish, to cast aside for glittering emptiness. I love you. Sarah whispers against David's mouth, and the words sound like a promise, a prayer. A gift freely given. I love you too, David responds, and Elna hears something in his voice she never heard when he said those words to her. Certainty. Complete, unshakable certainty. Elna stumbles backward, her vision blurring. She makes it to the front door before her composure breaks entirely. Sobs tear from her chest as she fumbles with the door handle. Desperate to escape the happiness she'll never deserve. Elna. She freezes. David's voice. shocked and strangely gentle. She turns slowly, mascara undoubtedly streaking her cheeks, to find him standing in the hallway. His hair is mussed, his shirt untucked, but his eyes are kind in a way that makes her want to crawl out of her own skin. "What are you doing here?" Not angry, just sad for her. "I don't know," she whispers truthfully. "I saw the cabin was sold." And as she breaks off, unable to finish the sentence, Sarah appears behind him, David's sweater hanging perfectly on her frame. She doesn't look angry either, just quietly protective. "You bought it," Elena says, the words feeling like glass in her throat. "The cabin. We bought it," David corrects gently. Together, the pronoun lands like a physical blow. Elena nods, backing toward the door. "I should go. I shouldn't have, Elena." David's voice stops her when she looks back. His expression is infinitely sad. "I meant what I said at the gala. I hope you find what you're looking for. But it was never me, was it? Not really. I was just a placeholder until something better came along." "That's not true." "It is true." Sarah speaks for the first time, her voice gentle but unwavering. "And that's okay. But David deserves someone who sees him as the destination, not a rest." "Stop." The words are devastating in their accuracy. Elena wants to argue, to fight, to prove them wrong. But standing here in the cabin, David bought with another woman the cabin he'd wanted to share with her, she finally understands. She never saw David as enough because she never saw herself as enough. She needed Marcus's wealth, needed Paris, and Milan and the Maldives, because she was terrified that without the glittering distractions, there would be nothing underneath worth loving. David had tried to love her anyway, and she'd punished him for it. "I'm sorry," she whispers, "for everything, for all of it." David steps forward, and for a moment she thinks he might reach for her. Instead, he simply says, "I forgive you, Elena. I hope someday you can forgive yourself." She nods, not trusting her voice, and slips out into the night. Behind her, through the window, she sees David take Sarah in his arms again, sees them sway together in the firelight, building their own perfect world from the ashes of her mistakes. Elena drives away with the taste of regret burning in her mouth, and the terrible knowledge that she's witnessed something she'll spend the rest of her life wishing she could have been brave enough to choose. 6 months later, Elena signs the divorce papers in a lawyer's office that smells of leather and disappointment. Her signature is steady now, final. David doesn't attend, he's in Italy with Sarah. According to the social media posts Elena still tortures herself with, their faces glow with happiness in every photo. And Elena has learned to find a strange comfort in David's joy, even as it highlights the emptiness in her own chest. Marcus stopped calling after she missed their third planned trip. The silence is a relief. She's kept the penthouse, though it feels like a museum now, beautiful and cold and full of things that once seemed important. She's donated most of her designer clothes, keeping only what makes her feel like herself rather than what makes her feel powerful. The difference, she's learning, is everything. The charity work started as penance and evolved into purpose. The women's shelter doesn't care about her past cruelty or her designer past. They care that she shows up, that she listens, that she's learned to see strength in vulnerability instead of weakness. Elena is reviewing grant applications when her assistant buzzes in. "There's someone here to see you." No appointment, but she says it's about David Winters. Elena's chest tightens. "Send her in." Sarah enters wearing jeans and a simple sweater, her beauty understated and natural. She looks around the office, Elena's real office now, not some vanity project, with quiet approval. "I'm sorry to bother you," Sarah says, settling into the chair across from Elena's desk. "But David doesn't know I'm here, and I needed to say something." Elena braces herself. "Of course. He still loves you." The words hit like a physical blow. Elena grips the edge of her desk. "What? Not the way he loves me," Sarah clarifies gently, "but the way you love someone who shaped you, who taught you things about yourself you needed to learn. He worries about you. He reads every article about your foundation work and gets this proud, sad smile that breaks my heart a little." Elena's throat tightens. "Why are you telling me this?" Sarah leans forward, her expression earnest. "Because you're both stuck. He feels guilty for being happy when you're clearly struggling to rebuild your life, and you're punishing yourself in ways that aren't helping anyone. I hurt him. Yes, you did. And he's forgiven you, Elena. The question is whether you can forgive yourself enough to actually live again. Elena looks down at the grant applications. Spread across her desk, stories of women starting over, building new lives from the wreckage of old ones. I don't know how. The same way you learn to see your worth in service instead of shopping, Sarah says simply. One day at a time, one choice at a time. They sit in comfortable silence for a moment. Finally, Elena asks, "Are you happy? Really happy?" Sarah's smile is radiant. Stupidly, completely, every single day happy. David makes me laugh until my sides hurt. He brings me coffee in bed and reads me poetry and tells me I'm beautiful when I'm covered in flour from failed baking experiments. She pauses. He's everything I never knew I needed. The description doesn't sting the way Elena expected. Instead, it feels like closure, confirmation that David has found what he always deserved. I'm glad, Elena says, and means it. I'm genuinely glad he has that. Sarah reaches into her purse and pulls out an envelope. We're getting married next month. Small ceremony. Just family and close friends. David, he wants to send you an invitation. Not because he expects you to come, but because he can't imagine celebrating the best thing that ever happened to him while pretending you never existed. Elena takes the envelope with trembling fingers. Her name is written in David's careful handwriting, and something inside her chest cracks open. I can't go, she whispers. I know, but maybe you could write him a letter, for closure, for both of you. After Sarah leaves, Elena sits alone with the invitation, remembering the man who used to bring her flowers for no reason, who used to trace lazy patterns on her skin, while she drowsed in Sunday morning light. The man she'd slowly, systematically, convinced himself wasn't enough. She thinks about the women at the shelter, the ones rebuilding their lives from nothing. Their strength isn't in their designer clothes or their bank accounts. It's in their willingness to start over, to choose differently, to believe they deserve better than what they've settled for. Elena pulls out a piece of paper and begins to write. Dear David, I can't come to your wedding, but I want you to know that the thought of you happy, truly happy, makes something in my chest feel light for the first time in years. I spent so long thinking love meant finding someone who could give me everything I thought I wanted, that I never learned to want what love actually offers: partnership, acceptance, home. You tried to teach me that, and I was too frightened and foolish to learn. Sarah is extraordinary, not because she's perfect, but because she's brave enough to love you the way you deserve to be loved, completely, without conditions, without comparisons. I see the way she looks at you in photos, like you're her whole world, and I finally understand what I threw away. I'm learning to forgive myself, slowly. I'm learning that wanting simple, honest things doesn't make me weak. I'm learning that being enough starts with believing you're enough. Thank you for showing me what real love looks like, even if I wasn't ready to see it then. Thank you for forgiving me when I didn't deserve it. Thank you for becoming the man you were always meant to be. Be happy, David. Be stupidly, completely, every single day happy. You've earned it. All my love and gratitude, Elena Perez. I kept one photo of us from our wedding day. We looked so young, so hopeful. I'm not keeping it to torture myself, but to remember that once upon a time, I was brave enough to believe in forever. Maybe someday I'll be brave enough to try again. She seals the letter and addresses it carefully, then sits back in her chair as afternoon light streams through the windows. For the first time in months, Elena smiles, not the brittle, social smile she's perfected over the years, but something genuine and soft and hopeful. Outside her office, the city hums with millions of stories unfolding: love found and lost and found again, chances taken and missed and taken again, people learning that the most beautiful thing you can do with a broken heart is let it heal strong enough to love better next time. Elena picks up the next grant application, a story about second chances and new beginnings, and gets back to work, building something worthy with the pieces of who she used to be.